Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you, of course, by BB. Reminder, as always, guys, there is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about these markets. Welcome back. Welcome back. I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. Spending time with your family. I'm not going to make the joke about staying away from charts because I know none of you did. But hopefully you were doing the former and spending a little bit of time with your family, a little bit of time outside, whatever you need to do to detox yourself a little bit from the Monday through Friday sessions of this market. But yeah, welcome, guys. Let's get this new week started. As you guys know, I'm Snorlax, also known as Tommy. I'm joined by Big Tucker as well as the Doctor. Will's Outlook today. Welcome, guys. Welcome. But real quickly, before we can start cooking, before we can start sharing that alpha, we always appreciate when you guys smash that like button before we get started. And it's a Monday. I'd love to set the tone for the week, get off on the right foot, right? I mean, our YouTube channel's been growing very rapidly. The algorithm really likes us. Our engagement is fantastic, and that is in no small part to you guys, the audience. So I cannot emphasize enough how much we appreciate y'all's continued support. And when you hit that like button, I know it gets annoying when we annoy you during the show, but it really does mean a lot to the channel and has played a big role in how much we've been able to grow over the last few months. So shout out to you guys. But let's talk markets. Let's talk charts. Let's talk Bitcoin, right? Because we are having a pretty nice move here. I mean, you know, a nice move off the low, right? We are not quite be recovering, but we've kind of done these slow grind patterns on Bitcoin and a few hand-picked alts, most notably Solana, right? Which I'm going to touch on a little bit. But you do have these slow grind patterns towards resistance, towards the highs that we set on April 15th. I think these are contextually significant levels, right? Because if you just, if you break those highs, that's a market structure break. You can threaten the true V recovery out of the dip that we've had. So like I said, I do view these levels as contextually significant, but I do want to highlight the strength that I'm seeing, not just in Bitcoin, but also in Solana, right? Bitcoin is up significantly more than ETH today, and Solana is up 8 to 9%. These are typically signals that we've used when the market is potentially going to go back into a bullish trend, right? We've been ranging the last few weeks. Obviously, we had total altcoin death. Probably was that like last week? This market really flies by, man, I swear. But now you have, I think, some signals that typically are positive for the market, showing that we could potentially want to move higher. But of course, Tucker has this 3-day resistance pulled up on the screen. It goes without saying that this is a big level. So if we can flip it, I think it does bode very favorably as far as what the coins are going to be doing into May, into June. And it would be nice to get some stimmies before summer, right? But of course, we do still have a little bit of uncertainty in the equity markets right now. Semis and stocks kind of related to them last week. Really, I mean, they crapped the bed on Friday, man. I look at that Nvidia chart. You know what that reminds me of, Tucker? It reminds me of Sol. Maybe not Sol at the bottom, but Sol at like 150 before it had one more stab. I would say those charts look pretty similar. So I really think that you just have this dynamic where crypto is probably a few days or a few sessions, give or take, ahead of the equity markets. But I will say, I think that Bitcoin looks more likely or more capable of trending than the S&P right now. Maybe Bitcoin is more likely to recover out of these dips that we've had than the stock market. And, we kind of have a narrative that we can talk about and shield to the bankers and having. And obviously that will probably benefit altcoins eventually. Whenever Bitcoin dominance tops, whenever ETH Bitcoin bottoms, I mean, people have been calling for it for a minute, but it has not happened yet. I think the catalyst for that, and I'll open the floor up after I say this, I really think the catalyst for getting the top on Bitcoin dominance and the bottom on ETH Bitcoin is going to be Bitcoin USD eventually chatting out of this range. I don't know if it's going to happen this week, but I do think when we leave this range, it probably does coincide with Bitcoin like literally chatting higher and that causing, mechanical capitulations in ETH Bitcoin, full wick up higher on Bitcoin dominance, and then I think you just see probably a rotation into altcoins in mass, as we've kind of traditionally seen after Bitcoin gives a big move like that. But what's up, guys? Great start to the week. Happy Monday. Would love to know what you guys are seeing in the markets, of course, as always. And yeah, let's get this week off to a great start.
Yeah, I mean, dude, Nvidia does look a lot like Sol. That's pretty wild that you saw that little fractal. Even like just one of those, I mean, yeah, I'd say we're leading by a little bit. At minimum, you get a little squeeze up to here. Probably retest the bottom of that, and then we'll see what happens. But that would be a move to 835.
I know that arrow ain't pointed down. That's all I'm saying. Like, I know
What
that
arrow?
ain't pointed down. The one you just had there.
I don't know what it's going to do after we retest.
It's going up. That's where it's going. Look, I was told I'm getting owned last week on the show. I feel very owned with Bitcoin at 66K and not low 52Ks. My heart is broken. My butt is hurt. Wham, wham. Let me drink some milk. We're going up. It is what it is, right? And Tommy, you disappointed me today with that opening. You said if instead of when, right? You said if.
It does feel like a matter of time. I agree, Will. I agree. It does feel like a matter of time before we break out. It's just, is it going to happen this week, or is it going to happen in May or June, July over the summer? I don't know. I really like the slow grinds that we're seeing across the board on things like Bitcoin and, of course, Solana, like we pointed out. I think, those are ultimately really positive signs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think Sol looks good, at least for up to maybe 170 again somewhat soon. I think the STX chart looks fantastic. I mean, this high time frame golden pocket fib just it doesn't get any better. It literally doesn't get any better than that, man. Imagine just shoving down in here.
You a golden pocket bro?
I'm a golden pocket bro. When it's support.
Here's the thing, though. Imagine not bidding 60 or sub 60K Bitcoin. Imagine being that person. Just imagine it, right?
Just imagine
it. Being that person that's sitting there crying on the timeline, talking about low 50s, coping, and just being that person just watching price go right back up instead of down to your target because you thought you were right. Imagine.
Yeah, man. Couldn't be me.
It's like a Disney story, man. It's like they're all princesses, right? Except there's no such real thing. So at the end of the day, enjoy being your princess in your closet because price is going up. Chads are bidding.
Patriots are in control. Yeah, where's that thing? I need that.
Yeah, put the banner up.
Patriots are in control.
Patriots are back in control, man. And we are seeing New York bid the coins for the first time in probably 2 or 3 weeks. I'm definitely taking note of that mentally, because one of the things I told our Giga Chads last week was, you're going to know that the bleed is finally over and that the FUD is finally done bombarding you when you see behavioral changes. And I think the two most obvious ways that can be manifested are, is New York session going to
That was
am I good?
Did he cut out for you, Will, or was that me?
Oh no, I froze too. But
okay. We're good now.
No, I was saying, yeah, I think the two things you want to look for at the very least lower time frame trend shifts are, you want to see people stop selling the damn coins in New York session, because that's happened the last 2 to 3 weeks. And then you want to see market structure breaks. And we haven't quite gotten that one yet. I mean, obviously, like I said, Bitcoin is really grinding into that April 15th high right now, and it has to break it in order to really squeeze. But the way we've approached the high, I think, feels a lot more constructive than if you were to just squeeze right into it. And I say that because you look at the lower time frame on Bitcoin, it's been a slow grind higher, which I do not fade slow grinds, right? Like, we could reject from they're fine, but I'm not fading a slow grind. Absolutely not. Definitely not with shorts pretty underwater from over the weekend.
Well,
And
it's
now
slow for now. It's slow for now.
Right. I mean, that's how it starts. It's right. It's like slow grind into eventual expansion. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of shorts underwater from the weekend, man, and really, like, basically all the shorts from last week, with the exception of the people who are just like still, I guess, sitting in shorts from the war gap down candle. I guess we'll see. But you flip that, and man, we're gonna fly.
Yeah, we need to hold above this little green box that I just drew between those two highs you just talked about. And then your next challenge is probably this. I think you flip that, you're easily going to new highs. Like, if we can do this, that's gonna happen. If we can flip 68 about. But yeah, we gotta flip where we're at first.
You just got to flip 66 and support, and you're good. At the end of the day, like, I guess for a lot of people, they're hoping to God I'm wrong. Like, there are people praying on my downfall right now, and I love it. I love it. It's what keeps me in these markets. It's what drives me. Your tears are my breakfast drink. I have it. I have it with my breakfast every morning. The tears of those who are too greedy to bid, who are looking for lower pricing. It's an amazing drink, by the way. It hydrates me. It keeps me going. It definitely helps my muscles, helps them stay, very very firm, very hard, and definitely bidding this morning.
Okay.
Jesus.
Just because I feel like it's the right time to plug this super chat from Todd. You're gonna like this,
Mhm.
Will. But yeah, seems like bears do need to study, man. Dingo. Thank you, Todd. But yeah, I know we did get tagged in a post on Twitter, Tucker. I don't know if you saw it before we went live. By Pitbox. And he was talking, he wants us to chart NVIDIA Bitcoin, or Bitcoin NVIDIA, that pair. So we can take a look at that. I guess it would make sense that the pair probably looks really good if NVIDIA is just absolutely turbo nuking right now. But yeah, I mean, I think from a Bitcoin standpoint, you really just kind of need to continue this slow grinding structure higher in the face of probably 1 or 2 more days of the equity market, like Friday. That's what I would say.
Yeah, wait, what was the pair we needed to check on?
Bitcoin NVIDIA.
Do we want market cap or no? Or price?
JB, I talk about the market the way it is every single time. You should go back to the 25K videos where I'm telling everybody they're complete idiots and that we're going to bounce. And that's exactly what happened. So, I mean, you guys can have whatever opinion you like. Obviously, I have to entertain both sides of the scenario. And I tell people this is the very unlikely scenario, which is the one for your greed. It's very unlikely. Um, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what people think about how I present myself. That what matters is, did I bid right, and did I bid at the right time? And go back and look at my buys. They're posted, pinned on my Twitter, pinned. Go back and look at them.
Man, that's floored. That looks really good, actually.
I mean,
I know Jack's been talking about this pair for a while.
You think we use the market cap chart or the USDT chart?
Is it that big of a difference?
A little bit. Let me see. I'll put them both on. Yeah, there's a little bit of a difference.
I think the crypto cap gives it the full picture.
Yeah.
Either way, it looks like it's reclaiming a deviation, bruv.
It does. It does. Yeah. It definitely does. Either like there or there. If it'll do it, I don't know why it doesn't do it.
I do think this will break out further probably this week, whether Bitcoin goes higher or not, because I do think NVIDIA is going to stab lower probably one more time before it bottoms.
I do think somebody asked about Caspa. You should run Caspa BTC. Tucker.
What?
Caspa BTC.
Why?
I just wanted to
Oh,
kind of show
so
people what that looks like.
Caspa BTC.
As a pair. As a pair.
Yeah, nobody's panicking here, man. I mean, I think somebody in the comments taking shots at the fact that we're commenting on the market because we do this show every single day. Like, you want us to talk about the market every day, so we do. We give you guys full extent of the analysis.
Let me ask you two honest opinions, right? Hagrid and Tommy. How bearish have I been since the lows? Since coming on the show, since discussing this stuff, like how bearish have I been?
Will makes fun of me in the Giga Chat calls for even hinting being bearish at any point, guys.
That's true. That's true.
You think he's the audience attack, or he's the Snorlax attack, or on the afternoon calls, but
yeah.
Caspa Bitcoin, it looks pretty interesting. I gotta say, I hadn't looked at this before you pulled it up.
They want CoinX. Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
And keep in mind, I was shorting all of 2022. I'm not a bull market hero. I play both sides of this coin when it comes time. It's just you got to know when it's time to short and when it's time to not. And I do drop a lot of, like, I know JB said, oh, you don't drop a lot of knowledge. Dude, I drop a ton on here. It's just nobody pays attention when I'm dropping it. They always want to be upset when I tell them they're wrong. It's the thing is like, I'm just an older guy. I've had a lot of experience in these markets. You can call me a boomer or whatever you want. I don't care. Doesn't bother me. Doesn't hurt my feelings. Like if you grew up when I grew up, bullying people was not sitting out there making fun of them like it is nowadays. Bullying people was literally beating the shit out of them on the playground.
Back in my day.
Back in my day. Back in the glory days. Yeah, man. We gotta hold this little box, boys. I really. By the way, this looked bearish right here until it did that. Like, I don't know if you were watching that over the weekend, Tommy, but this pattern looked bad, and then they just ripped it in everybody's face. Oh man, that looked like it wanted to roll over hard. Yeah.
What do we think about Sol here, Tucker?
I mean, I think you probably get at least 160s out of it. I mean, a lot of charts look like this, right? A lot of charts look like they could be potentially, that wouldn't be ideal if we turned around there, but I think you at least get there, right? Like minimum, I think you get up in there, right? 160 to 170, and then take it from there. Level to level, lads. Level to level. Happy days. Yeah, level to level, boys. Honestly, though, that's how you have to play it. That's real, though. That's alpha. Yeah, I think it looks good. Let's see.
I think you really want to see Bitcoin break out either today or tomorrow. Otherwise, we're probably going to keep chopping on a lot of these altcoins.
Yeah.
Thanks, Harry. Larry, I appreciate that, man. I'm a man of many talents. I can make some hash browns. All right, I can make some hash browns. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was.
Damn, you're gonna make me want some breakfast food, Will.
I know. Same. I haven't eaten shit today.
I ordered a breakfast burrito over the weekend. It was exceptional.
Oh.
Did we get a chance to look at Caspa BTC?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was busy eating my my breakfast burger, so I wasn't paying attention.
Wait, did you get it with steak?
And bacon.
Oh man. I got my fiance's at the at Billy Grocery. I got to text her and tell her what I want her to bring me.
I mean, you better be getting those ingredients for a breakfast burrito, man, or at the very least something like some red meat needed in my life right now.
No, it's a restaurant. It's called Billy Grocery, and it's just gas, dude. It's so good. It's unreal. Oh man. Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with the carnitas burrito.
Ooh, that's a W, man.
Yeah, it is.
I always try to remain like directionally, in the favor of likeliness, because when you come in and you tell people, hey, we can go to 50K, hey, we can go to 75K, then you're flip flopping, right? When you come in and you tell people, hey, we can go to 75K, or hey, we can go to low 50K, but your likeliness is very unlikely. That's the way I always try to voice it. I want people to know that I think that your percentage chance of your play playing out is so low, it's not worth entertaining. And some people take that for cockiness. No, it's just the reality of things. It's is the trend in favor of your idea or your thesis? Absolutely not. The trend is not in favor of any bearish thesis whatsoever. When the trend becomes in favor of a bearish thesis, then you can start entertaining, okay, your thesis might be more likely now. And it always depends on your trend. It always depends on your trend. And as of right now, with the way markets sit, like your thesis, your trend is still up. Even with SPY and a lot of these other ones. I think oil looks kind of meh. It could flip, but it needs to get above the W formation middle. If it can't get above there, it's weak. And if it gets weak, if it retests the low, I would ideally think it breaks down. Dollar, right? Dollar, definitely think it's breaking down. Can you pull up DXY actually, real quick? Unless
Yeah,
you
let's
want
talk about the dollar.
to.
I share a similar bias there. It's got a few weeks and then it's toast.
Yeah.
I think your low time frame gives you a lot of alpha, but honestly, Tucker, like I would zoom way out on that and look all the way back to 2008.
I mean, where's
Draw a
08?
trend line.
Here.
Draw a trend line from 8 all the way up to now.
In the bottom?
Yep.
I mean, what, that? Or there?
How far do we have to drop on the dollar to meet that trend?
96.
That's a ways down, man.
94.
And I think
95.
nobody's entertaining this, right? This is your high time frame conviction play here, and I think high time frame here, dollar looks very weak. Dollar coming back to 96 is massive. It's really bad for dollar, right? It's really good for assets because it means that you're going to see assets fly against the dollar. Dollar is going to depreciate against assets. And what makes it even worse is they're going to be printing in the process, right? Diluting the dollar on top of it. And that dilution is going to see its way into assets too. It's not going to strengthen. So for me, I'm looking at dollar and I'm just like, man, this thing's ready to cook. It's literally ready to just collapse into the range, into the trading range at the low there. Can you go into the 2021 bottom there for dollar too? And just kind of highlight that area right there, Tucker? 2021 bottom for dollar. Just gonna throw a boxer on that. That was your 2021 top for Bitcoin. That was your 2021 top for Bitcoin.
It was.
So ideally, what we should see here, now I'm giving knowledge, like people say, ideally what we should see here is price or dollar come down to trend and kind of form a similar bottom just like it did there in 2021 if we're going to see a round top, right? If we're not going to see a blow off top. If we're going to see a blow off top, it's going to come down, tap, and run. And that won't be good because that's a literal blow off top. But either way, you're going to see a lot of upside in assets versus the dollar specifically here. So this is something to really pay attention to, as I think the dollar is pretty much cooked or ranged high, which means you should come back to at least range low, even if you don't break the support there.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts here, Tommy?
I have been in the camp that the dollar is probably going to roll over for probably a few months now. It hasn't. I was open to the possibility we'd trend up to 106, 107. That's what we're seeing. I don't want to see it get above 107 in any meaningful way. Otherwise, I think I might be wrong on my bias with the dollar. But I do think that I just don't really think it makes sense to me at this point for the dollar to really break out. Unless you think that stocks are the bottom's about to fall out from below some of these other stocks, not the Nvidia or the Teslas or the semis that are already kind of nuking, but talking about like the Apples, the Googles, because they're sitting on support right now. So I think if the dollar is going to break out, you need to have confluent breakdowns in those markets for that to play out, which I don't really think is that probable, at least not yet. So therefore I am bearish on the dollar for those reasons. I could give like a fundamental reason why I'm bearish on the dollar, but I think most people probably share the same bias as far as like holding dollars versus other assets.
I think if you look at gold too in the same area, gold's breakout is kind of an indication of a breakdown in the dollar too, because gold would not be seeing a bid if dollar was not intended to break down, aka dollar roll into asset accumulation, whether it be, we'll say metals or any other asset. And gold itself is kind of a very controversial type asset because of the suppression that it sees over the years. At least it has seen for the past decade. So the fact that it's bidding, I think, is a very high indication that this bull run will probably end in some kind of great recession. I don't know about great recession, but some type of recession or recessionary scenario by the time it's done. And that's why, like, I'm being cautious about the bull run in the factor of, timing. And I think like timing the bull run and looking at Bitcoin and its historical factors of always having a bull run after every halving. Always, never, not once has it happened. Usually, roughly between the time frames of 398 days and 598 days is the time frame for that bull run. In those scenarios, I'm looking to play this bull run upside, so that way I'm not obliterated financially when the dollar, eventually does collapse against gold and these other assets. Plus, I think a lot of people too don't really tie the dollar and oil enough together, and this is just a lack of understanding and just people, being really new to markets and younger. But for those who don't know, when the dollar was taken off the gold standard, it was initially then replaced or kind of we'll say let me think of the word for it. Um, like refurbished more in a way of oil, right? And so
Right.
when you hear the term petrodollar, right? Petrodollars is the value of the dollar based on oil. And the dollar has been valued on oil for a very long time. So you can't essentially, now, here's the thing, oil will lead and lag at times, but you can't be bullish oil and not be bullish dollar. You can't be bearish oil and not be bearish dollar, because the dollar itself, in hindsight, more or less, is based off of petros, based off of U.S. oil, gas, so on and so forth. You can go back, you can look it up. There's a lot of info on it on Google. There's a lot of info on it on different history books, so on and so forth. But with that being said, this is my thought or my thesis and why I was kind of pushing back on the oil up scenario, because if we're expecting oil to run, we need to be expecting the dollar to run right behind oil. And if we're expecting oil to dump, then we need to be expecting oil to dump behind the dollar, or dump in front of the dollar. Again, it tends to be oil will lead, dollar will lag. But ultimately, if you were to put dollar and oil beside each other, Tucker, there, if you could pull up another chart there and put oil up, you'll see that they tend to be more in correlation than a lot of people understand.
Dollar and
Oil and dollar.
Yeah.
And we got a super chat we should go to after we're done talking oil dollar.
You could probably just go like U.S. oil or whatever, it should correlate. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. This is why there's a war in the Middle East. Exactly, and Russia and all these other ones. The oil connection to the dollar is it's too coordinated. So if you look at these two, they've been following each other tit for tat almost for years. Oil will usually overextend beyond where the dollar will go, but for the most part, they're pretty much in correlation. As you can see, oil up, dollar up. So your expectation here is if you are bullish oil, you should be bullish dollar. If you are bearish oil, you should be bearish dollar. But again, there is a lot of great literature in the form of petrodollar. So I would be researching on that if you want to understand the thesis and the connection between the two. It's always been a petrodollar since gold has been taken off as the standard for dollar.
What's the single most important thing that's keeping the US dollar as the global reserve currency? Is its tether to oil, because every country needs dollars to be able to buy oil. Therefore, every country needs dollars. There's always a demand for our currency. It's really, really difficult to get the the hyper doomer, hyperinflation narratives actually playing out as long as that's the case, and as long as you see continued demand for the dollar. Obviously, I mean that's the whole point of BRICS, though, is that other
Yeah.
countries are depleting their reserves in dollars, replacing it with things like commodities. That's obviously a very, very long way away, in my opinion, but still a theme and a narrative to keep in probably the back of your mind over the next 2 decades. Because as we continue to debase our currency, holding dollars obviously becomes increasingly less or like decreasingly attractive to all of these other countries. But yeah.
You have to
I don't
consider too. Oh, go ahead, Tommy.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, I'm bearish on the dollar, but I also think like dollar doomers are not. I mean, they might be right, but they are so early to the thesis, and much
Mhm.
earlier than I think they realize.
Yeah, and you have to consider too. There's a little trick to it. U.S. or not U.S. Any oil in general it's a necessity to live. A lot of people don't even realize that. In winter states, you are not going to live without oil, without natural gas. You're going to die because at the end of the day, these are things that help keep your homes heated and so on and so forth. They also provide transportation for all assets that ship on oil. They ship on petrol. So in that case, anytime oil goes up, that is what causes inflation. Inflation is caused by increase, petrodollar up. This is why, like, when petro went to zero, your assets were really freaking cheap.
Oh,
They were really cheap, and now we're continuing to see strength on petro, but petro ultimately I think will come down with dollar. And if that's the case, then what we'll probably see petro down, dollar down, and then we'll end up seeing assets fly, which means inflation at the same time may also come down, right? But with the QE of inflation coming down, you'll end up with a QE scenario, which will end up stimulating the economy through dollars rather than oil.
Yeah.
What are we owing about?
What are we? What?
Will. Look at the chart.
Oh no.
HE1?
It's lean hog time.
HE1.
Oh,
There's a problem. Tommy, what's the issue here?
Oh man. You guys, come on, man. And we had every opportunity to set the tone for the week.
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm going to ask you. If you guys could find it in your heart, your souls, to hit the like button, it would be greatly appreciated by this panel. And definitely this guy right here, pointing at myself. So we don't have to look at lean hog futures, obscure commodity futures. Last week we ended up finding, which was kind of funny, cotton candy futures, which I guess is like the altcoin of the sugar market. But if you guys can smash that like button for us, we can go back to our regularly scheduled programming. And like I said, Tucker, I know we have a super chat that we should get to as well. Remy the Whippet wanted us to look at one of an altcoin ticker. So
NOS. NOS USDT.
Nice. Nice.
NOS.
Tyrell said that was way too nice of a shill for likes, and that he's removing it. He doesn't like the
Good
softness.
Lord.
It's a Monday. I'm in a great mood, guys. I'm in a great mood.
Dude, what is this, bro? What am I looking at?
You're looking at Sol.
Bro, why does that look like Pepe? I'm just saying.
A lot of these altcoin charts kind of look like this, where you hope they're not bearish retests or else they're going a lot lower. But they are, they're the PA that we've had since the dump feels less like a squeeze and more like just I'm going to go out on a limb and say a bullish slow grind higher. We haven't seen a spike or like a real meaningful squeeze yet, but I'm assuming that one's eventually going to come in. I don't know if this is a perps market though.
I have to address this comment. Will is a closet Marxist. First off, I can't spell Marxist. I don't know what a Marxist is. I don't play politics. I don't care about your politics. I'm completely anti-government. I think the government's a freaking joke. I think they're just robbing people through taxes. I mean, if that's a Marxist, then sure. I guess that's what I am.
You're not a Marxist.
That's the opposite of a Marxist.
We'll go with that.
You know this.
We'll go with
I like this comment. Marxist.
I don't think I've ever had a cyst, but sure.
What do you guys make of this chart, though? What do you make of the chart?
I mean, it looks like a lot of other altcoins, man. I mean, like, I really think if we're gonna get a squeeze, Bitcoin realistically shouldn't keep grinding higher. Like it's probably gonna get to a point because you're approaching, right? Like, look at the Bitcoin lower time frame right now, Tucker. If you will, if you were to draw a diagonal from the highs that were put in on like April 16th versus the highs that were put in over the weekend, we are kind of grinding up more or less on like a lower time frame diagonal resistance, which I think, I don't really trade with trend lines, but I do know if you're grinding into a trend line resistance, you're either going to get a rejection pretty soon or you're going to have
Talking about that.
No, the from April 16th. So it'd be like from the lows.
What you mean, like this?
No, yeah, like that, basically like that. So if we're gonna get above that vertical trend line, I have to imagine it's probably going to be a big squeeze candle. Given how we've grinded very slowly into it. That's kind of my bias at this point. But
I completely agree, Tommy. Completely.
I think a lot of other altcoins are painting pretty similar structures in that regard.
Yeah, it's this has been a slow grind up that looks like it wants to pop off really hard. So if that ends up happening, like we're going right back to 75K again. We might catch that failed. Where I would target here, Tucker, is I wouldn't even target that area you're targeting. I would target that failed shoulder swing higher, around like 72K.
Nah, we'll blow through that, bro.
And
We'll blow through that if we get above this.
There'll be some hesitation there, and then target all time high again. 75K again after that. So I think there'll be hesitation at that 72K range, and then you'll hit all time high again.
But rising wedge, bro. Rising wedge.
Yeah, again, these are indicators just like overbought and oversold. They work if you're on the right side of the trade, right? And the right side of the trade for a rising wedge is a bear market. Right side of the trade for a rising wedge in a bull market is probably a breakout, aka fake out, making you think it's bearish when it's really not. I play the patterns in the favor of what the trend is. So if the trend is down, then I would play this for sure as a big drop incoming, right? If the trend is up, then I play this as a fake out move, trying to get you to capitulate so that way they can run this thing up hard. Now, could they run this up to like that fail shoulder and swing back down into this range before absolutely chatting? Sure. That could be a possibility, which means you would hit 72, come back down to 66, and then run really freaking hard. And that makes people think that it's the atypical fake out, breakout into a breakdown, and they're going to end up selling that position is what'll happen. They'll sell back at 66, expecting to go back into the 50s again. This is very 25 to 30K esque 2.0, right? And a lot of people are not reading it correctly.
I mean, I could see 68K being a sticky resistance level for Bitcoin. Like, I'm kind of gauging my opinion on the range based on the way Bitcoin squeezes. Because if the squeeze is big enough, obviously, then you flipped enough positioning offside that I think you can continue squeezing, and you'll probably even start trending. But if we squeeze and do something like maybe squeeze into 68K and reject, I'd probably be more open to continued ranging. At least for another few weeks, which would obviously suck, but I don't think it's bad for Bitcoin necessarily.
No,
more so for alts, of course. That goes without saying.
We did cover Caspa BTC, right? Because somebody keeps asking.
Yeah, we did.
Okay,
I think we did.
You're just gonna have to, Tucker.
Huh?
Did we cover it?
I mean, yeah.
We pulled it up. I don't know if we talked about it.
We didn't really talk about it. But, I mean,
we just looked at it.
What do you want me to? I mean, I don't know what to. Looks okay. I mean.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
What do you think here? What do you think? That was my thoughts too. That was my thoughts
maybe,
too.
but
you have to reclaim this. You have to reclaim this. Like,
what
I don't know what else to say.
What does the chart with more history look like? Yeah, this is a good question too. What does Chimp Phone think?
Yeah, it's a great question.
That looks way better. That looks way better.
Yeah, that does look like it's probably going to bounce pretty soon, if I had to guess.
If you look at it, Tucker, that it literally filled the entire FEG, the entire fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Like, if I were gonna big cast, this is where I would shove. And if it fails here, you're screwed. Yeah, do the trend all the way down, Tucker.
If it fails here, it's over, man. It's over.
No, do the trend all the way down. No, trend.
What are you talking about?
At the lows. Trend line. Angled up.
I mean, I don't even know.
Yes.
Basically that.
Possibly you might see that, right? Possibly. But you could also trade sideways into that, which means that Caspa just kind of stays where it's at. Trade sideways. Bitcoin doesn't really do a lot. But if Caspa chases, you'll probably see a similar, but maybe a little bit underperformance to Bitcoin for now. But ultimately, I would say, like, if I were to look at this like a stair step, this would be a good spot to, like, maybe take a stab at it and then let it kind of fall into this trend. And if it breaks this trend, or AKA run sideways into the trend, if it breaks this trend, then I would probably, look to cut. I wouldn't want to see it below that first swing out, though. If it comes back down to there, that's going to be bad. Right before it basically rips straight up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have an opinion here. I don't own any Caspa, so I don't know. I don't think there's a good, take either way, right? Like, it's probably going to trade with the market, right? I mean, obviously this is versus Bitcoin, but USD, it's probably just going to trade with the market. I don't know if I would, looking at this, expect imminent outperformance from Caspa. That's not really.
That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
Do you expect performance or do you not? And I think that's the way people need to look at these markets. I do think, like, it's at a good spot to maybe poke at it to see if there can be performance from here. I do think that. So, like, I would buy here if I was interested in buying Caspa. Which at the moment I'm not right now, but I may be later on in the future. One that I'm more interested in is the sub $2 billion market cap L1s that I think can catch traction in this bull run. Sui being one of those, and Aptos being another one, are two that I'm looking at right now that I think that not enough people are playing in. I like the side of the pool where everybody's not in the same pool, because then you haven't got people pissing in your pool. Which is what happens when you tend to be on the crowded side of the trade. So
That's why I don't go to water parks, Will. I watched the South Park on that, and I never swam in a water park ever again.
Wait until you get the floaties. Wait until you get the floaties. But the brown ones. But you know, I think like not enough people are participating over there. I think there will be adoption into those. I would say if you're questionable on it, study Solana. Very similar type play, slow run ups, and these are ecosystems that are actually still continuing to get traction, and just nobody's talking about them. So that's something I'm actually more interested now. Like I was more interested in meme coins, obviously going in the end of last year into now, and I have my positions in my meme coins, not too worried about it. But I am now more interested in dabbling in areas that are not meme coins and more utility based, because I think we're going to get into that part of the sector where people start believing, right? And the belief sector is where these utility coins will bid the best.
I agree with that. I been talking about this theory that I have where you have meme coins popping off to start the cycle, and they'll run again. I mean, they'll probably run their hardest at the end of the cycle, and we're going to see rhetoric around, okay, this is it, like meme super cycle. We've officially kicked out the VC scams, and then that's going to be the actual top. That'll be the actual top the next time that you see that rhetoric probably appear on the timeline. But I will say, I do think it's pretty notable, or at the very least, there's definitely some distinction to be made between what memes are outperforming today. Like, look at Pepe, looks great, but then you look at something like Whiff, and I think Whiff looks terrible right now. I mean, I kind of thought it might be bullish over the weekend, but now I think that looks honestly kind of awful. So yeah, I mean, I kind of think that Whiff will come down, but at the same time, I'm viewing Pepe as bullish. I think Doge is probably bottomed, give or take. So it's a little bit difficult to interpret a chart like Whiff at the moment. I guess that does kind of look, yeah. Okay, wait, that's Doge. I thought for a second you're showing Whiff, but yeah, I think Doge is probably bottomed here. Otherwise, you know,
I mean, they look pretty similar. Like that's Doge, that's Whiff, right?
I guess it could be just doing what Doge is doing, but it does look kind of weak to me.
I mean,
I like Doge though too. Doge, I think is going to follow the utility cycle. To be honest with you, I don't think it's going to follow the meme cycle. And with that being said, I think it'll be a top performer. Just looking at it, and keep in mind, like I did shit talk Doge towards the beginning. I'm always clear about, you know, whether or not I've made good calls or bad calls. But I do like Doge here. Like I really like. I looked at Doge in 2020 to 2021, and I think just so many people are on the sides like that. Well, that's not going to happen because Elon's not shilling it. That it's going to happen, right? And that's how I'm always the fedor of CT, man. Whatever CT is like, oh, let's get into ordinals, or I'm like, oh, well, I guess it's time to sell my ordinals. As we saw, R6 went down to like what 0.007 the other day, and Runestones got absolutely obliterated. It's because everybody's trying to count in.
Will called out that runes were probably going to nuke immediately after the halving, and they did. And they did. No,
great entries.
Look at these charts, bro. This is the same. This looks this is Doge and Whiff, like it's doing the same thing. Now Pepe is not though. Pepe is not doing the same thing. Yeah, Pepe looks better, but I think Pepe got hit harder. You know, right? Like Pepe got smacked down harder, I think. It lost this range low, whereas these two put in higher lows, right? And Pepe put in a way lower low, but now it looks stronger, right? And these look kind of not great. So pick your poison, right? I think you just got the deviation, bro, on Pepe, probably.
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, you know, the coins that are outperforming today are not outperforming just because they're mean reverting harder. I think that would be my one like pause for hesitation. Not that I think that's my bias right now. I don't really think we're doing underside retests at the moment, but that would be the only thing that I would kind of hesitate with, would be, you know, the strongest coins today are probably the coins that got beat down the hardest. And so they're probably mean reverting way harder. But I guess we'll see, man, because when I look at Doge, it kind of reminds me of a bit of price action on ETH from last cycle. And more specifically, the price action on ETH near November, like late November of 2020, actually. I think it looks very similar. So that's kind of what I was looking at for Doge. And I think I agree with Will. Doge is going to be one of those coins where it's a meme coin, quote unquote, but this cycle it's probably going to trade like a utility token, which I mean, you might get the best of both worlds there, where you see eventual meme coin blow off from Doge, but with utility cycle kind of grind up. Obviously, Doge will probably get a futures ETF at the very least this cycle. I wouldn't even be surprised if we see like spot ETF hype at some point before the cycle's over. But the last cycle target for Doge was $1.
Oh, easily higher than that.
Easily higher than that.
More.
Yeah. Probably like $2 or $3 for Doge.
$2 or $3? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see why not. People would lose their minds if they saw a $2 Doge.
Well, can you imagine the hype too? We'd be seeing those videos of the people who like, oh yeah, I threw $20 in my Robinhood in Doge and Robinhood 5 years ago, and now it's worth X amount.
Yeah. Jeez.
Any tickers you guys want us to take a look at? Because we're getting into probably the final 15 minutes of the show here.
Yeah, I don't want to get too low. I don't want to get too low on the thing on YouTube, man. Just I don't really want to Popcat. What's Popcat at, Tommy?
I don't know, but I saw the funding was absurdly negative. I saw I realized about in Bitcoin Eco. I think we touched on that a little bit, but I'm fading runes for now. But I think that the new token standard is ultimately going to be bullish for those tokens. But
did this thing just get listed places or what?
I think so.
Ah, there she is.
Well, you know what happened with runes, right? Like they announced the snapshot for the token, and as soon as they announced snapshots on every token, you just saw them go straight to zero. Not literally, but you get what I'm saying. Like they got nuked. So like one whale dumped freaking R6 down to like 0.007 from 0.7.
I did see that.
That's massive.
That was pretty savage.
Dude's like, all right, I got on my airdrop. I'm out.
Stuff was pretty wild.
Yeah, but they did bounce back pretty hard. But you know, you had to take the opportunity when it was there. I kind of figured they were going to do this type of manipulation with it at least, or not. No, I wouldn't even say it's like really manipulation. Like it's more like, you know, de-risking, right? De-risking their positions, as any smart investor would do. But yeah, it's been pretty interesting. What do you got, Popcat?
This one's been, I think, heavily shorted, ironically enough, which is funny. Who shorts a meme? Okay, I take that back. People short a meme coin if they're coping generally, but you should never short a meme coin unless you're absolutely certain that it's topped. And I can tell you on Popcat, that does not look like a topping pattern.
The vol is too high to short a meme, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's like even me, like I'm not dumb. I'm not shorting any of these. Like I don't care if the market's bearish or what what I think is going on. Like, it's much easier to short a utility if you're going to short any type of altcoin.
The only time I've ever felt conviction to short a meme coin was SHIB, and it was pretty obvious that it was topping to me at the time. I guess I sold the first top on Pepe. I didn't short it, but I think when you're not trying to call a top on these meme coins, you can kind of get a more organic feel for when the top is already there, if that makes sense. Like the price has gone vertical, community vibes are maybe shifting a little bit towards greed. And also I would say, I forgot who told this rule of thumb to me, but when you have a coin and like the good kind of way to gauge when the community is shifting towards not being as, like, when the community shifts towards not being as welcoming to new people, that's typically when you're going to see a top form on price. You know, because in the beginning, like, everybody wants you to buy their coin. Come buy my coin. Come buy my coin. And people do. And price goes up a ton. And then you have a lot of people who get like this holier than thou opinion because of their coin. And when you have enough people that kind of shift into that line of thinking, that's when you see meme coins, or really, I think coins in general, start to top. So that's just like a little rule of thumb that I use with memes. And I think assessing communities as well, because you can't really assess sentiment. I mean, I know people can say X or Y and point to anecdotal examples. I think we all can, but at the end of the day, I think there are little like nuances that you can kind of pick up in assessing like a community rather than like a market-wide sentiment.
I always hear community, right? And a lot of these, and community is great, and a lot of people do bid on community. But I think like people don't understand the difference between a broke community and a non-broke community. And some people think that community means something when you got a bunch of people who all work at the same grocery store trying to make it in the same coin. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And I think a lot of people don't consider that. Like, community needs to be like really driven from like conviction plays. Like, people are coming in, putting their entire paycheck in the entire thing every single week, or at least, you know, what they can afford to put in there. And like, I've seen this in a couple different plays. Keep in mind, I've seen this a couple of different plays. You can definitely keep it up, but at the end of the day, you know, again, I think right now the best bets are going to always be on, at least for now, utility. Going into a market where people are going to start believing in crypto, the belief comes from the utility. And I know somebody asked earlier, like, what is utility? Utility is just use case, right? Or we could say imaginary use case in a lot of these cases for these altcoins. It's
The illusion,
you know,
of utility,
the illusion of utility,
mostly driven
and
by price rising.
the better you can make that illusion seem, the more bid you can catch on it. So just think about it like that. Like Luna, right? Great example. Celsius, great example of illusion of just, you know, never ending money printers. And that ended very well in a lot of people's favor, especially mine when I had shorted it pretty much to zero from the top. So I think that a lot of people they fall into these narratives too quickly, and they want to believe that they can catch generational wealth, but they don't understand. You know, in a lot of cases, if you took $1,000 and you made $100,000, that is generational wealth. That's exactly what that is. If you took $10,000 and made it into $200,000, that's gen wealth. You can't do that at a job typically. So you have to understand when you're in gen wealth and when you're not. And at a certain point, you just got to pull the trigger. It is what it is. Market go up or market go down.
Speaking of studying Ponzi's, you mentioned Luna, Will. I see people making a few comments about Ponzi's in the chat. Let's talk about ENA. I saw somebody ask a question about that as well. That's Tucker's coin, so I'm going to let him cook there.
Well, I don't know if it's my coin, but
I'm attributing all P&L on ENA to Tucker.
yeah. So this is what we've done with ENA so far. So we shoved 0.75. We sold. Where did we sell? We sold half about here. Sold a little more here. And then we took this thing on leverage right here, guys. And now we are cooking. Yeah, I mean, it probably, you know, a smart trader or investor would probably shave up here and move their stop to break even, but I'm not going to do that.
Bro, you say that every time and you round trip it every single time.
I'm not gonna do that.
It's 2x cross. My liquidation is like 0.18. Come get me. Come and get me.
Oh, we're coming for that lick. I'm just kidding.
You want to come down here? This it's gotta come right here. to come get me. It would have to death spiral, in which case I'd be out long before then. So I'm just gonna ride this thing for like 6 months, maybe, and just let it print until funding gets too terrible. Honestly, that's the plan, right? If it as long as it's not death spiraling, I don't think there's any reason to think that it would come down here unless Bitcoin goes to like 30K, which isn't going to happen. So I'm hands off the wheel, man. We caught a good entry. I'd probably add
hands off
here.
the wheel, bro.
Yeah, hands.
Jesus take the wheel,
man. Jesus take the wheel. We're riding. Okay, we're riding.
Jesus, he's in church right now with this call.
Yeah, man. 2x. What are we talking about? 2x cross? Who cares, man? This thing's gonna trend up. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. So.
I just wanted to kind of bring up, you know, to JB's point. Did you also took Luna rise from the bottom to the top? No, I didn't actually, JB. I told people it was going to be a Ponzi, and that's exactly what it was. And I was looking for the perfect position to short it. I have date and timestamp of short. I also have print of short on Bybit, right? So if you'd like, you can go on my Twitter and follow me, and you can see all that stuff live. It's on my feed. Just look at the word Luna on my time frame. You'll find the date and timestamp at the very top, by the way, not the day after, not the day before, the exact day that it very, very, very top. Then I said I'm shorting Luna here to the short position. Can post screenshots if you want. You talking about you've been in Bitcoin since 1600. I mean, sure, maybe. I don't know.
God, man. I always sometimes I reminisce about that Luna crash, man. It's kind of like it's like one of the, for market participants, it's like the you remember where you were when it happened. I remember my fiance was out of town and I was just like listening to Agar. It was like a horror house for days in my apartment, man. It was bad. It was scary. I mean, I wasn't affected, obviously, but no, I mean, it was such a surreal moment watching an asset that big literally beeline to zero. I was just kind of in on, and I just remember watching it. I wasn't even trading it, man. I probably did some scalps more to keep myself entertained, but no, I mean, I pretty much just sat there and watched it. I mean, there was just so much chaos and carnage. I think there's some alpha in that though too, because when bad things tend to happen in markets, they are inevitable and nobody wants to talk about them. Nobody wants to experience them. But what you often see when that happens is, even though Luna, you could have made a ton of money shorting Luna, but the carnage that caused in DeFi on like every chain, at least that every chain that was associated or had a bridge to Luna, there were dislocations all over the board. Like I had friends that lost significant sums of money in UST and in Luna, and they made it all back because there were just so many dislocations in asset pricing. Oracles were messed up. You could have shorted UST to the ground, you know, if you had any. So there were a lot of ways, I think, that, you know, even, and this was a great lesson for me, when you have so much going on in the market, it's very easy to just focus on that chaotic event, when that chaotic event is likely spawning life-changing opportunities for you within these markets. So definitely think that that's a lesson that I took away from Luna, that the next time something like that happens, I'm going to be looking for those dislocations. I probably won't even pay attention to the chaotic event, because there's just going to be that much more opportunity in other places when that's happening.
Well, do you remember the arbitrage scenario with what's it called?
UST?
No. It was Ethereum Classic. So if you bought a
with
Ethereum
Coinbase? Classic,
yeah, you buy it on Binance and you could take it over and get $90 per Ethereum Classic more on Coinbase. I full ported my freaking portfolio when I saw that shit. I was like, oh, this is the easiest play ever. I'm like, everybody's fading it for no reason. It's just stupid. And like, like those type of things happen in a bull run though, because it gets so hectic that the oracles and stuff can't keep up. You can catch those arbitrage plays easy if you just look for them.
And there's always like a general dislocation to an NFT prices after a big
across the board,
because people don't they don't reset their bids, so you can catch like heavily discounted JPEGs after a nuke that way.
Well, not just that too. I've been trading between like Blur, because Blur seems to be like the platform for cheating. So everybody's like max short on every, like they're buying like literal under floor pricing compared to Magic Eden and OpenSea. So you could find arbitrage opportunities between OpenSea, Magic Eden, and Blur, where like I think it was what was it that I picked up? Utes. I got a couple Utes on I think it was OpenSea for like 0.2 and sold them on Blur for 0.44. So
Utes. Somebody in my Discord with a Ute. You always got to have like one big NFT collection guy, like from each collection that is in every Discord. It's just like it adds necessary personality to the to the group. But I think we had a request for Prime. Let's take a look at that, and we can start to wrap up the show.
Prime?
Yeah, Prime.
Prime.
I always think about Deion Sanders.
Before we head out, I just want to point out that if you doubt anything I'm saying, just literally go on my Twitter. Like, it's not hard. You can just search it.
Oh, wow. Who could have seen the respect of the fibs? My goodness. Wow.
Will, you've inspired me to get a breakfast burrito today.
Dude, this thing probably...
I'm going to have to start taking screenshots on my breakfast burrito so people believe that I ate a breakfast burrito, bro. Like, I have screenshots of everything. I guess I need breakfast burritos next.
Can't confirm Will did eat a breakfast burrito. There you go. I like Prime here. This, I mean, if it holds this 1618, it looks good. Yeah, it looks.
At this point,
as long as Bitcoin's going up.
Yeah, it looks really good. At this point, I'm assuming that JB is 15 years old and keeps on bringing up the never below 60K. Oh my God, we hit 59,990. Congratulations. I'll send you a box of chocolates. Send me your address.
Send me your address. Oh, man.
This is a coin I wish I had bought, man.
I know.
And I was shilled this coin so damn early, too. Faded.
Goku, I don't care. Like, you're not.
Will, stop attacking the audience. Will, stop attacking the audience.
Oh. I'm trying to remember where I got chilled Prime, man. I'm looking at the chart right now. I think it was literally like under $1.
It was really low. It was really low.
It was in here, man.
Low, man.
Yeah, it was.
Shout out to my friend.
Prime was the play.
Pico bottom.
You know, but you know the beta play for this, right?
Oh, it was
the NFT project.
What NFT
Tommy?
Project?
I got it. I'll send it to you guys after the show. But there's an NFT project that's directly tied to Prime. So, like, if you're looking for the beta, that's the beta.
The bid on or I should say rather the lack of bid on gaming stuff. I'm wondering because Prime has been the only gaming token that I have at least traded over the last 6 months that's caught any bid and sustained it. I think about Big Time. I thought that would be stickier. I'm not surprised that it's not because the FDV is so damn high, but I mean, I'm shocked that it literally fully round tripped the pump from like 4 months ago. What do you think about that, Will? Because I know Prime, I know you're way more into gaming than me as far as like crypto assets go, but Prime, from what I can observe, has been the only gaming token to not just sustain a pump, but to like pump massively. And I I'm not saying the gaming sector will never pump, but I'm just kind of wondering, when do you think that might be?
I think like look at 2020 going into 2021. A lot of people didn't think gaming would pump either, and I think like it's just time, right? I don't really know like specifics, to be honest with you. I just know that these things are not being bid at the moment, and so it's where the crowd's not. So, and I don't think it's just gaming. I think metaverse, gaming, AI, like these are all narratives that will catch huge pumps once this market becomes fully liquid. It just right now, it's just everybody's trying to get, their positioning before the liquidity comes. And so it's kind of like a sleight of hand right now. A lot of people are focusing so hard on meme coins, they're missing again the forest of the trees. And they're not understanding like, hey, there's a lot of utility over here that's going to get bid really freaking hard once liquidity starts to move in, and these meme coins are just a distraction. That's all they are.
I do think, I mean, we talked about this before, though. I do think the fact that meme coins are doing what they're doing, going up a lot really quickly, will attract more and more liquidity to crypto, which, ultimately it is very cyclical, as we said, will cycle people back into utility. But yeah, guys, I think this is a good spot to be wrapping up. We've been going for about an hour and 10 minutes. Shout out to you guys for being here. We hope you enjoyed our start of the week stream. Happy Monday. But real quickly, I'm going to plug a few things before we finish up for sure. A reminder, we did just launch the BB Academy. That is a all intensive and inclusive course by yours truly, the BB team. We worked really hard on it. We've spent about 8 to 9 months developing it for you guys. And for right now, a very, very limited time, you can get it on a heavily discounted price, $199. We're probably going to raise that. And I know I've been saying that. I promise you we are going to. You do not have much longer. Maybe even by the end of the week, we might raise the prices, to be completely honest with you. So yeah, look for that price increase soon. If learning from anybody on the panel is something that interests you, as well as Jackus and Max, then definitely give that a look. But yeah, lots of great educational content from all of us. And yeah, I would recommend it if you are looking for something to maybe take the next step from an educational standpoint. But to touch on our programming, guys, of course, you guys know, if you're a Market Check regular, we will be back tomorrow, as well as every other. Sorry, I've got something in my throat. I'm getting carbonation from my stimmy. But of course, if you're a Market Check regular, you know that we will be back tomorrow, as well as every weekday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As you guys can see, these shows, I mean, they really take a life of themselves, kind of whatever the vibe or the mood is. With the market, with the comment section, we have a lot of fun here. We attack the comment section sometimes. We berate you guys for likes, but we hope you guys still enjoy the comment or the content, because we love putting it out for you guys, of course. And as I said at the beginning of the show, I mean, our YouTube channel has been growing exponentially over the last few months, and that is in no small part to you guys, the audience. So I wanted to give you guys another shout out. Thank you guys again for being here. Yeah, and one last thing before we wrap up. We do have Market Talk with the legendary King Wabi. That's our flagship show. It's a Twitter space. It's hosted a little bit later in the afternoon from Market Check. The timing may vary a little bit, but we always post the timing the day of the space. And of course, if you stay subscribed to our Twitter and our spaces, you will be notified, not just when we schedule those spaces, but also when we go live. So make sure to check that out as well. But that's it from us, guys. Y'all have a fantastic rest of your Monday, a great rest of your week. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to see what Bitcoin brings us. It looks like we are pushing a little bit above 66K today. So I'd love to see a squeeze on a Monday, man. Who wouldn't? Let's see what the coins got for us tomorrow. But thanks again for being here, guys. We're going to wrap up. And yeah, that's it from us. Thanks again.